very, very small cities, we are looking at what happens to the monies that are designated to curb drug abuse, in any fashion, drug or substance abuse. We're looking at when a mentally ill person should be released on the street. What we're going to do about our homeless
situation. That
homeless,
is a real...
They're always with us, and there are those of us who think we have the answer, but I think we are unwilling sometimes to look for solutions. Part of our homeless problems are because people are mentally ill and they go untreated. We have looked for shelters for them, but our communities say, help the homeless, but don't put them in my community.
Don't help them over here.
That's exactly right. And we're facing where we're going to house them. We're facing what's going to happen to our elderly, how we're going to feed our elderly, how we're going to pay utility bills. And I think, you know, all of our utilities are escalating. Even taking the tax off food doesn't remedy how unemployed people will pay their utilities.
Now, how would that work? Does it mean that there will be, you might not know the complete arrangements of it, does it mean that there will be absolutely no tax at all on
There'll
food?
Be no
And how will
tax.
that,
There'll be absolutely no tax on food. There's no tax on medicine now, but there will be no tax on food. There will be the state sales tax, I think, will drop from 5.5% to 4%. I'm doing this from memory based on the package, and there'll be studies on what is exactly is in the package. But that one, I think, was the most far-fetching one, that we removed the tax from food. But I think when we take tax off food, the revenue that is generated, we have to look at how we're going to make it up on something else. The other one was the Hall's income tax, that on dividends, that would be reduced or eliminated completely. And there was another proposal in the education package to provide 2 teachers a petty cash fund of $200 to do with whatever they choose. And one other proposal was to add 1 day to the school year.
Well, now, taken together, the governor's tax plan and his education plan, they sort of complement each other, do they not?
Yes.
Which is to say that the purpose of the tax plan, while not solely for education, that education plays a very, very important part in it.
That education would benefit from the tax plan. And I think even when it was presented, there were still some areas in there that needed to be cleared up. We have talked among ourselves about the possibility of that tax plan passing, and each one of us have ideas, but I think we'll wait to digest it and then carry it to the community. And then if it doesn't pass, then what happens? Where do we go from here? That's the other issue. And most of us are waiting to see where we'll go.
Yeah, I think that sort of follows natural as a question, which is to say that if you've tied both these plans together in an intimate sort of way, which they are, then what happens if for some reason the tax plan is unsuccessful? I mean, do you have
Well, even the finance director, David Mannings, told us that even with the new tax proposal, that there would be 846 jobs eliminated.
And so the state government is going to eliminate some jobs.
Eliminate some jobs, and that could be equated to, if it does pass, that many jobs will be eliminated. If it doesn't pass, how many other jobs will be eliminated? And then there's always the issue of pay raises. You know, our employees, our state employees, they're diligent workers, and many of them have worked loyally for several years. And I think they deserve some kind of reward, you know, some kind of percentage raise. They want recognition for the service they render to this state, and I think they deserve it. But we have to look at where is the money coming from.
And so all of these are some of the problems that you're faced with and that you have to deal with in the state Senate.
That's true.
Are you very optimistic about some of the outcomes? How do you see the future?
I think so. I think it's like any other proposal. You give some and you take some. We will look at it and try to determine what impact it will have on the citizens of the state. And my concern will be the state, but also what impact it will have on the 19th district. And given that, you'll vote yes or no. And when you're voting for taxes, they're always, you're always kind of setting yourself up for ridicule because, as I said, to most of our constituents, there are no good taxes.
Very good. Senator, there are so many young women who are watching us today, well, as well as males too. But what would you say to some of the young women who are watching who would like to perhaps duplicate your role? I mean, what are some of the things that ought to be important in their lives, and when should they start making these things important?
I think one of the things that I would say to young people who want to serve, want to do public service, get involved. Get involved in something that's happening in the community, a girls' club, a boys' club, get involved in the PTA, and get involved in a political campaign. We have a presidential election coming up next year. I think they should be involved in passing out literature, finding out what the candidates' platforms are. Being involved in the political process can help more than anything. It may be that you'll decide you don't want to serve in office. You like to serve in some other capacity. There's room for all of us. But most people stand back and criticize. I think once you're involved, you get a better spectrum of what's happening, what causes things to work. The other thing, I think your motive should be to help others. It should not be self-serving. It should be to help the community.
I appreciate you saying that, because it seems that on all of these discussions, it always comes down to the individual's attitude and that kind of spiritual element and that spiritual dimension that ought to be a part of that. And it sort of transcends the various kinds of career persons that we talk about, whether we're talking to lawyers or
That's right.
persons involved in politics and etc. Why don't you speak to that intangible element that makes us all?
I think that you must believe in a supreme being to be whole. And there's some who may disagree with that, but I believe there's a supreme being. And it must be a part of your life every day, even if sometimes you appear to brush it aside, but there must be some kind of spiritual belief that moves you forward. It causes you to want to be a better person. It causes you to want to help mankind, and it causes you to help mankind. It just has to be a part of your daily life. I would say to young parents, you know, carry your children to some kind of religious service. Don't send them. Carry them. It's important that they have that kind of interaction. It makes them a better person.
Very good.
Teaches them values.
Very good. Let me thank you, Senator, for coming by and giving us that very, very important information. I think that this is one of the several shows that we've done dealing with not only the black experience, but also the political experience of black people in the state of Tennessee. And we're simply delighted that you could come by and give us that information today.
Thank you.
And let me encourage you to tune in again next week for another informative edition of Comments. Good morning.